if you just send me like in Instagram, you have to go to prison for 15 days. So it's absurd. It's just like absolutely surrealistic situation in my country.
Sasha Filipenko, welcome to the Havel Channel. You took part in 2020, 2021 in major protests against the Lukashenko regime. You also wrote articles in European media calling for the release of political prisoners. But what I'm curious about is, before 2020, what was your relationship to the regime in your country?
I think I always was against the regime, and it's really difficult to live in Belarus, you know. And I left country in I don't remember. It was 2004 because Lukashenko. My university was closed. It's European Humanity University now. My university in Vilnius, so now in Belarus. In this case, and I was writing always about Belarus, about situation in Belarus in my books and essays. So I think it's a long fight.
Well, at the start of this decade, also you called for World Ice Hockey Championships not to be held in Belarus, and you made other similar appeals. When you do things like that, of course you must expect some response. What's it like living with that feeling all the time that someday they're going to basically come for you?
Yeah, it's difficult and it's a tough question also, you know, because, for example, my father was arrested, and but I think we have to talk and we have to write about the situation in Belarus, about prisoners, because now we know that. I'm not sure about just like really correct, but it's just like more than 1 million people left country, and more than 50,000 people were in prison, and still now. So in this case, it's a really tough situation, and I think everything destroyed in my country: theaters, culture, newspapers, and bookstores, and now everything is forbidden. For example, my books banned, and my place in theater, and I'm a really dangerous person. I'm like extremist now in those. And even, for example, if you just send me like in Instagram, you have to go to prison for 15 days. So it's absurd. In this case, I think I have to just like write about it and say that it's just like absolutely surrealistic situation in my country. Yeah.
What was it that eventually caused you to leave Belarus?
It was last time. It was after protest 2020. So, and I would be arrested in the next day. So I decided to leave country. Yeah.
And you moved to Switzerland, you're living now in Switzerland?
Yeah, I live in Switzerland. Yeah.
And how was the adjustment to living in Switzerland, coming from such a different culture?
You know, sometimes I think that Belarus could be Switzerland 2.0, and it's because of question of language, and I think in Belarus also sometimes we don't have a mountains, but I think there are a lot of I don't know how it's explained sometimes. I think we could be just like New Switzerland and Belarus. For sure, it's absolutely different countries, for sure. But it's I feel Switzerland, it's absolutely beautiful country, and I can write. So in this case, it's really important for me and my family and my son, for example, now in safety. And he goes to the school, and it's for sure it's really important, but I feel I'm not at home, you know. I feel like a fish in absolutely beautiful fountain with a really clear water, but it's not my water, you know. I just like I used to be in a dark water. So in this case, it's just like every immigrant. I feel I'm not at home, unfortunately. Yeah.
And does that situation affect your writing? Do you feel your writing is different now than it was before you moved to Switzerland?
No, I think I just like I write better and better. I suppose. No, I don't know, but it's interesting question because for sure I have to write and I should write and I really want to write about my country and about my history and about my friends and about people in my country. And for example, now I really want to imagine how it's possible to go back to home and maybe write about it, about traveling home. So in this case, I'm not sure that I can explain how my literature improve or something about this difference. I think it's a question for critics, but not for me.
I saw an interview with you in which you said that you never declared or never said that you were in exile.
Yeah.
How do you view your status now?
I think it's a really long work trip, I suppose, yeah. And but I think it's a part of fighting. I don't want to say, okay, I'm in exile. And in this case, I prefer to say, okay, it's a really long trip, and now it's like 5 years long trip without home. And for sure, I can go home, unfortunately. Now, and for example, yesterday my book was banned in Belarus. 2 of my books, called also like Extremist. So in this case, I prefer to say that I'm in a really long trip, and one day, I suppose, I go back home.
You mentioned earlier, I think, your father. What did your departure from Belarus mean for your family in terms of any consequences for them?
Unfortunately, yes, and my father was arrested also, and he spent 15 days in the prison, and sometimes they just like send us really clear signal that they have to shut up, and etc., etc., but we cannot change the situation, unfortunately.
And do you feel like they're constantly monitoring you now abroad, that they're following your activities closely?
Every day, I think, yeah, and I feel depression. Just like sometimes it's just like new investigation. Sometimes it's an article. Sometimes they wrote something about I have to be without my passport, without my citizenship, and so I'm just like worst man in Belarus, etc., etc. Every day I knew something new about me. So yeah.
Also, I saw in a previous interview you did that the authorities somehow made your father appear in some video or make some kind of a statement.
Yeah, they didn't publish it yet, but we know that this video exists.
And what's the purpose of it? Are they keeping it to use at some time in the future against you?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's one day they will publish this video, but we don't know when. And for sure, it's just like part of pressing.
And what does your father say in the video? He must have told you.
He said that he do not support my activity. Unfortunately, but we understand why he did it. Yeah.
And is it the case also that you are going to be tried, like in a court, even like in your absence? There's a court case ahead for you, or were you already tried in a court in Belarus?
It's not possible to go to the Belarus to this court, so it's
But I mean, if there's a case where you will be accused in your absence.
Yeah, it's not a problem. So, and now we know that I have an extremistus article. It's 130 or something like that. I don't really remember, and I know that I have to be in a prison in between 5 or 12 years. We don't know correctly.
I also wanted to ask you about the fact that your father is Ukrainian, your surname is Ukrainian, your mother is Russian. How did that background shape you?
Yeah, I think it's it's about our history, because also it's not only like my father Russian, but Russian and Belarusian and Ukrainian. My mother Russian, and my grandmother She was from a part of Russia, and Chuvasha, and so I have like in my blood I have like Tatarstan, and I have Belarus for sure, and I think it's really important to write about this, about just like all of these roots, all of these roads, yeah, and in this case, this war, it's really difficult situation for all of us, because I have a lot of friends in Kyiv, I have a lot of friends in Moscow, for sure in Belarus, and it's really difficult time for all of us. Yeah.
And you also studied in Russia, in St. Petersburg. What's your relationship to Russia, especially today, given what Russia is doing to Ukraine?
I spent a lot of time in Russia, and I was working also like independent journalist in TV Rain. And now, you know, it's just like all of my life, it's just like all in my life destroyed. My university was destroyed, my TV channel in Russia was destroyed, all my plays and theaters were destroyed in Russia. So in this case, I still have like great memories about great people from Memorial, for example, because I was working with people from Memorial or Museum of Gulag, but unfortunately, I think now it's a really dark and sad times for Russia and for people.
And if you look at Russia and Belarus and the leaders of those countries and the systems in those countries, do you have any optimism for the future that things could somehow get better in either or both?
You know, French people say oui, mais non. I do, but now I think it's really difficult to imagine how it's possible to change something in a few, I don't know, in 10 or 20 years, because I think now the situation will be worse and worse, unfortunately. But we try to do something, and I try to write, and I try to make something, and to help my Ukrainian friends also, and my Russian independent friends. But now, unfortunately, it's really difficult to imagine how the situation can change.
We're here at the Václav Havel Library. It's several decades now, of course, since Václav Havel's own brave political opposition against the dictatorial regime. But does his name resonate much in Belarus today? Is the name Havel known?
Few people, some people for sure know, and it's really important example for all of us. But unfortunately, I think now in Belarus and in Russia, for sure, it's just like a name of enemy.
My final question is a relatively light question. I know you do boxing.
Yeah.
What does boxing give you?
You know, for me, it's like I do boxing, I do rowing, and sometimes just like cycling, but I do boxing every day. You can watch it. And in this case, I think for me, it's like yoga, because it's just like 2 hours per day. You think about nothing. It's just like you have to be really concentrated.
2 hours every day?
Yeah. And it's like on Monday, on Friday, I have also sparring. And I think I think maybe it's a sad joke, but you know, in Russia, in Belarus, you always have to prepare for prison. So in this reason also, it's just like part of being just like you never know, unfortunately. But I really like it, and I think it's just like a way of. For me, it's just like one way just to relax, to think about nothing. Yeah.
Well, I hope you never need to use your boxing skills in those circumstances. Sasha Filipenko, thank you very much for speaking to the Havel Channel, and best of luck to you and to the people of Belarus.
Thank you.